This is the first test using no username or password to try and log into the system. This is the second test to see whether the person can log in with just the username alone and with incorrect or correct inputs. This is the third test. Here we are testing the password alone with correct and incorrect inputs. This is test number 4 using the wrong username and password. I've done a test using both the wrong username and password and then repeated doing one wrong username and a correct password and then the wrong password and the correct username. This is test number 5/6, as when you use the correct login and password, the products table gets updated from the web automatically as soon as you've used the correct username and password. Obviously in this test you can see that it does work. You use the correct username and password and you are logged in to the system, but it does take a little bit of a while to load, and you'll see a bit further on that it does cause other issues with this model, so I did do a redo of the test. This is the redo of test 5 and 6, and as you can tell, it works a lot quicker. This is test 7 and 8, which is checking that the home form is connected to all the other forms and checking you can log out from the home form. This is one of the longest tests, and this has got the old code. Whenever you would go to the home page with the old code, it would update the products table from online, and this is quite inefficient as when you first log in, it already updates. So if you're going back and forth between the pages, it's very slow, and I knew that as the video had taken about 4 minutes, that it could do with a bit of speeding up. So I did redo this a bit further on. This is the redo of test 7 and 8, which is a lot more efficient as it doesn't update the products table every time you go to the home page. It does it when you first log in, and for the remainder of the time that you're logged in, it does not update the table again. This is test 9 and 10, checking that the job form is connected to all the other forms and that you can log out from the jobs page. This is test 11 and 12, which checks that the customer page is connected to all the other forums and that you can log out from the customer page. And finally, this is test 13 and 14, checking the worker page is connected to all of the other forums and that you can log out from the worker page. So this is test 15, testing the add job feature on the job page. This is a very long testing process. Throughout my code, I have been checking through, making sure that different bits work, but when one thing starts working, other things stop working. So at this point, I have put in some test inputs into all of the different text boxes, got the date and picked the combo boxes and selected a material, and we are struggling to add the job to the table due to a constraint at job.job.id. This was my redo of the test. Obviously, as you can see in the background, I have got the database open and I'm trying to add a job to the table with different inputs, so with all fields empty except date, of course, as date is never empty as it's a date picker, and I'm just checking with individual inputs into each box to see if I could add a job. Now here you can see that I have added the job correctly to the table and it works when all of the inputs have been selected. So here I'm just checking the database, so I'm reopening it to see if the job has actually been added. And here you can see that the job was correctly added to the database. Here is me showing you the little snippet of my code on the Add Job Click button, just to show that it takes in all of the inputs and checks that they're not null for everything except the contact number. So this little bit here was just to show you that you can input a job into the table without the contact number. So this is test 3 of adding the job. I'm basically trying to show you the different inputs that can be used, that you can use all 3 different status is from the box and the different assigned employees and the different materials. So yeah. Now, at the point earlier where I tried to add a job and it said job.job ID constraint, I had to remake my whole database as job ID was saved as text, and when there was 10 jobs added to the table, it had been working so amazingly up to that point. As soon as I started doing my testing, as soon as I tried to add an 11th job to the table, the job IDs stopped working due to the fact that it was text in the database. So I had to change the whole database. I remade it all and tried to transfer the data across, which worked for most of the tables except some. So at this point, I think I just showed you the database with the test 1, 2 and 3 in, which were all with the new database, and you can tell because they are saved as job ID 20, 21 and 22, just due to the fact that when I tried to transfer across, some of the data went wrong and had to delete some of the data, so the job ID changed from having 1 to 23 jobs. There was 1, 2 and 22 and 23 jobs. This was a very hard part as very close to the deadline this did happen, so I remade all the whole database and changed all of the IDs from text to integers that would auto increment. I didn't find any issues at the start, and I only chose to do text as I was going to make specialised job IDs. So for the product table, it would be PR01, PR02. But I guess that's something that I will implement in the future. As for now, the simple 1, 2s and 3s work quite efficiently and well, and if there is anything needed to be sorted out within the database, I will be the one accessing it and not my end user, so it shouldn't affect him either. So here we are, test input 2 for the job. It's got a different material. Job added successfully. Amazing. So at this point, everything is running quite smoothly. Now, at this point, I was just trying to make sure that I would thoroughly tested the add job button, as I know that I hadn't just tried to add a job, trying each individual text box by themselves or a combo box by themselves. So I thought I would test that now. So here I am adding a job called test database updates. So adding a job, and then we're going to open DB browser, which is where my database is, and check that the job has been correctly added to the database with all of the data that I had inputted. Okay, finally we are on test 16, editing job feature. This has a little bit less length of testing, still very thorough, as it worked quite well. I think there was a few blips though. Okay, so we edited the job in the database, and now we're opening the database to see whether the job has been edited correctly. So we're on the thingy page, and we changed the contact number. Where is the new contact number? So that is something that I will have to fix. But when looking at the description, it did change. So the description change works, but not the contact number. So I will have to have a re-look in my code and go over that. Now here I am testing that the edit works once again, adding a different assigned employee and contact number. So when I click the edit job, it says it's done it. In the database you can see that the description has changed to again at the end. So here I've just opened the database, and as you can see that testing database takes edit again has worked in the description. And let's check the customer. Oh no, the customer has not updated. We must redo the test again. Okay, so here I'm testing now, changing the assigned employee, the contact number, changing the description to testing database takes edits again part 2, edit job. Okie dokie. Okay, so now we're reopening the database to see if it has been fully updated within the customer and within the job table. So again, the description has been updated perfectly with the part 2 on the end, no problems there. And yay, contact num has finally been updated within the customer database table. Customer table. Very happy. On to the delete job feature. Time to test it out and see whether if you delete it in the program, it deletes it in the database. Okay, so here I'm just fiddling around, deleting different tests, adding new ones to then delete, and soon it will check the database to make sure that the ones that I have deleted have been deleted on the real database. So here I am opening the database connection, just looking for the file within my bin debug. We're opening it up, and as you can see, the job isn't there anymore, but the customers are still there, as when you delete a job, a customer remains, because if you end up adding a job later with an old customer, you still have their contact info saved into the database. So here I am just adding some data into the fields, doing all of the fields, even the contact number, adding the job. We've already tested that works at this point, and just showing you there how it is in the table. We're going to check the database to see if it is being added. Just to show that the data I've just inputted has been added into the database, and then I'm pretty sure we're going to test whether when I delete it, it deletes. So we're just loading in, and you can see that the job is saved perfectly into the system. There we have it. Now we are going to just have a look at the different tables, show you where the job is, and then we are going to leave DB browser. We're then going to reload the system and log back in. If my computer decides to load, there we are. So we're going to log back in. May take a little while to load because we're reloading back in, so it'll update the products table, and Then we're gonna delete a job, I'm pretty sure, as soon as we can get in there. Okay, now we're in. It is time to delete the job. So deleting it from the table, and then we're going to reopen DB browser with the database from my project so that we can check whether the data has been deleted. So reopening the database and opening the project, going to my bin debug, and drumroll please. It's not there anymore, so it's worked. Yet the customer's still there, but that is what we want. This is the second to last test. This is testing the status on the system. Now, when I first tried it, it did not work. We're trying all, of course it's going to display them all, but when we try ongoing, all show up, and when we try completed, all of the jobs show up. So there's obviously something going wrong there. So I had a little look in my SQL and realised what a fool I had been. And I redid the SQL statement and now it works. So it just displayed upcoming jobs, there we go, ongoing jobs, and completed jobs. So it works for all of the different statuses, and of course you can go back to all and it will display all of the jobs. So it now works. Okay, so this is the final test. This is to see if the print quote button works. So how it works is you select customer and you click print quote. If you run through all of the customers on the system, which shouldn't take long as at the moment there isn't that many, it will come up with a warning sign for the customer if they don't have a current job, and will come up with a message saying save to the computer if you have if the customer does have a current job. So the quote will save as a txt file. Here we go, we've just opened one up here, and as you can see, it's saved as customer receipt. It has a customer name, employee name, description, status, dates, and the materials used, and the total price of job. But when doing this, I realised I should add VAT, so I did go on to do that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the updated version of the print quote, as I have added I've added a what time is it? I've added VAT, sorry. Couldn't get me words straight there. Right, so there's the VAT. There's the price including VAT. So yeah, I've added this. It works on all of the ones, but I am unsure which ones actually work now. So I'll say. Alright, so let's have an open of that. Let's just reload. We're around here somewhere. What time is it? This one? Yep, including VAT, so perfect. Just showing you how that works. Didn't change anything else.